Stylized trees. In this video we're gonna take a look at a program named TreeIt in which you can create trees. So let's get into it. When you open TreeIt, you can see that we have base trunk in the viewport. Navigation in Viewport is pretty straightforward. With the left mouse button you can look around the tree, with the right mouse button you can pan the view, and with the mouse scroll wheel you can zoom in and out. In the left top corner you can see the FPS and the view mode that we are currently in, which is perspective. You can change the view mode here. For each ladder you have each view mode. On the right side you can show the wireframe and the vertex color. You can turn off the wind, light and the grid. Now for the regular tree, I would go for around 3000 to 5000 polygons. You can see the total poly count down here, 546, and the poly counts of the individual meshes like trunk, branches, branchlets and leaves. Now let's get into making our tree. You can see that on the right side we have settings, and up here we can select what we want to work on. Let's start on tree. I'm gonna leave all of the settings that are not really important, but I will show some of them at the end of this video. Here you can change the scale of the tree, and here you can reduce the poly count of the tree and poly count of the leaves. Down here under joints we're gonna click on edit joints, and you can see that bunch of squares appeared on our trunk. And we can click on individual squares and edit them. This way we can change the shape of the tree and branches too. That's it for the tree. We can now go and take a look on the trunk itself. Here you can add more trunks and also split them. Below that you can change the number of segments, or basically lower the poly count or add more detail. With the side divisions, you can spread out the detail throughout the tree. Basically, if you set the side divisions to 6, you're gonna have higher detail at the bottom of the tree, and if you lower that number, you're gonna have the detail spread out evenly throughout the tree. Here you can set your textures for the trunk. Or you can use already existing textures from the TreeIt. You can also import normal and roughness. We can move down to the trunk scale. Here you can change the length of the tree. To keep some kind of understanding in these settings, you can see that, for example, length has its under settings, and that is the same for the radius and most of the settings in this software. Radius will make your trunk thicker or thinner, and radius sign will create curves like this. You can also change the frequency. Right here you can add a force of gravity to the trunk. You can also make the trunk seek to the sun. You can add a crinkleness to the tree with these settings. You can bend the tree to the all sides, and if you combine all of these bending settings, you can create something really interesting. You can twist the tree right here. Here are the settings for the bottom part of the trunk. You can add more detail, change the radius, make it noisy, and so on. I really recommend you to try all of the settings by yourself. You can change the position of the trunk and add more trunks to create more trees if you want. For these settings down here, we're gonna need to split the trunk. Now if we use these settings, you can see what they do. And if you play with all of these settings, you can make some really interesting trees. can now move on to the branches. And here we can add the branches. Most of the settings are the same as they were for the trunk, like segments, poly reduction, and so on. We're gonna add more smaller branches, and down in the settings we're gonna change the length and size. As I said, most of the settings are the same as they were for the trunk, so I am just gonna take you through them. With the length center, you can change the length of like half of the branches to add more randomness. Here you can change the verses. And now we're gonna add a crinkleness and twist the branches to make the tree look more natural. You can change the position of the branches, maybe if you want to have the branches only on the top. Here we have a bunch of settings where you can change the rotation of the branches. Okay, so now we can move on to the leaves. First, we're gonna add an alpha texture for the leaves and we'll load it as a base color. Now we can add the leaves. If I clear the texture, you can see that the base mesh of the leaves are planes. We can change these planes in the settings up here. The diamond option will make the diamond shape from square. Polyquad will divide the planes, so it adds double the detail. Cone will make this with the planes. That means it doubles the poly count, so you should use like half of the leaves if you use this. And steam cone will make the planes bigger and it aligns the planes to the round shape. But it will gonna have 6 times more polygons. And you should check render double-sided option if you want the leaves to be rendered on both of the sides. Now we can look at the settings for the leaves. Here you can delete the leaves from bottom to top or vice versa. Now here we have an important setting that will make normals of your leaves smooth, which will result with better lighting in Unreal Engine. So we're gonna change the smooth mode from surface to tree and put the smoothing to 100. Now in the settings below you can change the size, length, you can apply the force of gravity, add a crinkleness and so on. If some of the settings won't work, be sure you add more segments to the leaves. If you want to add more leaves, you can just click on add leaf and add a texture for that leaf. And just like that, you have second variant for the leaves. There is one more thing I want to show you, and it's that you can choose different types of planes for your leaves. So you have just simple plane, then you have 2 planes crossed, then you have halved, which is 1 plane and then half of the plane. Then you have front, which is like crossed, it just rotated so you can see the side of a plane. Then you have crossed slash front, and at the last you have halved slash front. Now all of these leaves can give you a different effect, and in my opinion for the stylized tree, the front gave me the best result because it just looks so smooth and more fluffy, I think. But it highly depends on what kind of tree you are doing. Now let's take a look at lowering the poly count since we want to use this tree for games. If we take a look down on the poly count, we can see that the tree is at 9981 polygons and we want to get it down to around 4000 polygons. And we can see that most of the polygons are in the branchlets. So let's go to the branch and go down to the branchlets, and we're gonna lower the segments and sides. Cutting out the polygons from branchlets is the best because they are the smallest things on the tree, so the difference is gonna be small. Also, don't forget to add leaves since they count as polygons too. And the final result looks the same, just now we have it at around 4000 polygons. Okay, so there is some final tips I can give you. Use joints if you want to change the individual branches or even trunk itself. Sometimes it can give to that tree that special look. If you feel like your tree looks boring, use crinkleness. Don't be scared to twist and bend. Just experiment with the tree. Here are some settings that you may want to know. You can change the color of the background and the color of the grid as well. You can change the skybox as well as the color and the angle of the light. Now for the leaf alpha mask, I have just took the image of the leaf I liked, made a new layer, and with the polygonal lasso tool I outlined the leaf from the image. Then I fill it with the white color and started duplicating, moving and scaling the leaf. And at the end I have deleted background layers to have transparent background, and then I saved it as an PNG. Now this is it for the video. I hope it was helpful, and if you like it, consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.